So I have a young hognose who's being bad and doesn't want to eat. So I just got two little frogs. I think that's just one of them. Oh, nope, yep, they're on top of each other. Welcome to my channel. My name is Lily. Here I mostly do makeup tutorials, but I have a really big interest in spirituality, and so I wanted to go ahead and make a video about that today. If you guys do like this look, I do have a video that I'm also making right now with this one, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. But let's get in with the topic. In the very beginning of my journey, I actually did this stick and poke Saturn tattoo when I was, I believe, like 14 at the time, and no regrets. I still like it, still like Saturn. And I remember at the time I was going through a really hard transition. My parents were getting divorced. I grew up Mormon. Both my parents came from Mormon backgrounds, and my mom decided that she wanted to leave the church. I also decided that I didn't really believe in Mormonism, and so in doing that Saturn, I would tell everyone, oh, I believe in the universe, and I had no idea what that meant at the time, but I knew that that's how I felt. Now, of course, I'd always known a little bit about spirituality and all that stuff, but I never really got that into it. So flash forward to about late last year, I remember I was on YouTube and I came across a video and it was about crystals. And very scientific video, talked about crystal structure, frequencies, how different crystals vibrate, what that means, how they affect us, our different chakras. So much stuff that I had never even heard of, considered. I was like, crystals, vibrating, frequency, using them, like, crystals are just beautiful rocks. I had no idea. And I had always had a thing for crystals when I was younger. My aunt had a bunch of like amethyst towers that she kept on her dresser, and I loved them. Like every single time we went over there, I loved them. I loved looking at them. And I remember we had like show and tells in elementary school, and people would bring like tiger's eye and stuff like that, and I always thought it was so interesting, so beautiful, but I never knew that they had metaphysical properties. So like I said, I'm watching this video on YouTube and I basically just spiral from there because, you know, I start to learn about crystals, what they do, what that means, and then I didn't have any specific knowledge about like what each individual crystal is for. I just had like a general, okay, this is what they do. I'm gonna find somewhere that sells them. I'm gonna go buy whatever random ones feel right to me, and then I'm gonna start from there. So you'll get crystals, at least I do, from places that are called metaphysical shops. There's none that are really close to me, so I kind of do have to drive a bit to go to them, but I feel like that's the best, most authentic place if you're going to go and get crystals, and you have just such a wide variety. You know, you can look at all the different colors and shapes and types and sizes, and there's so much to look at. But my first one that I went to, I actually got this fire opal necklace. And then I picked up a lot of actual staple crystals. Don't know how that I would know that I need those because, like I said, I had no prior knowledge. But I got things like citrine, amethyst, quartz, rose quartz, danbarite, moonstone, obsidian, jasper, fluorite, clear quartz. Like, I knew. I feel like there definitely is beginner stones, you know, and then there's stones that have a more advanced frequency, and that requires just a little bit more knowledge to be able to work with them. But I was just happy that I was able to pick out such basics, you know. Like I said, I just walked around and picked up whichever one felt right to me, you know, for whatever reason that might have been, the way it looked, the way it felt. Everything had a reason. After I started getting really into crystals, I learned about Moldavite, which is actually a tektite. And I'm sure you've heard about it. It went viral on TikTok everywhere. But this tektite is basically known for causing change, insinuating growth. You know, it's supposed to break down all those barriers that keep you from progressing and say, hey, this is what you need to do. We're taking this away. We're adding this. Boom, bop, bing. So I bought a good sized chunk. It's about yay big. It's just a rough tumbled stone. And I've had it for about 2.5 months now. In these past 2.5 months, a lot has happened. I moved out of my hometown for the first time in literally my life. So I'm in a whole new city with areas that I don't recognize. I've been making videos for this channel a lot more frequently. I've learned a little bit more about editing video, full-time bartending. I started makeup school, actually, which, you know, that took a push. I broke my foot and ankle, as you guys may know, which has put me out of work for at least a month, which honestly has been amazing. It's only been like a week, but it's been amazing. I'm probably gonna go back to school on Tuesday just because I need to get this stuff done. I can't put it off, you know, longer than I already have just because of the whole foot situation. I've been having a lot of anxiety about going back, just knowing that I have to wake up and drive and this and that and this, but at least for the next couple of weeks I won't have work. Anyways, back to the crystals though. I did purchase citrine as one of my first crystals. It is actually now my favorite. It's been my favorite ever since. I actually have a necklace. I'm not wearing it right now because I'm letting it sit with my other crystals just because I wear it 24/7. I want to let it rejuvenate. But I love citrine. It's supposed to be, you know, the crystal of abundance, prosperity, money, etc., etc. So I wear one, and then I also keep one in my wallet, and then I have like a rough chunk that's about yay big as a part of my collection as well. If you guys are curious in seeing my collection, I actually do have another video about it. I will link it below. Once you start understanding crystals and what they're used for, you will understand that a lot of crystal work is done through meditation. Meditation is talked about everywhere. Another thing like Moldavite, you've heard it everywhere. It's been the monks, it's been done for literally ever. So that is how you know that meditation works. The whole point of meditation is to be able to slow down your thoughts, you know, think about them, really process them, because we're constantly just darting off thoughts that we're barely even noticing, and your thoughts create your reality. So if you can really slow down and consider, okay, this is what I'm thinking, this is a negative thought, how can I correct this thought to make it more positive so that this situation does not continue to affect me in a negative way, you know, your thoughts create feelings, which create actions, which you then have a reaction to based on whatever happened because of what you've done. So if we can control our thoughts, if we can constantly say, I am worthy of this, I deserve this, this is coming to me, that is going to come to you. That is what's going to be true because this is what you are speaking and putting out into the world in front of you. Meditating is a way to be able to connect to your inner self and really think about what you need to do, why you need to do it, why you feel a certain way, and you know, just think about that inner guidance that you might be getting. Sit with yourself and really just evaluate why you're doing what you're doing and where it's going to get you and if that's where you want to be. I recently came across a guided meditation on YouTube. It is literally only 11 minutes, but it's a guided meditation for manifestation, and it is the most simple, brilliant thing that I have come across recently. And the whole plot of it is basically that you are going to sit there, okay, and then you are in. So it's an amazingly powerful technique because you're going to literally be in your mind the person that you want to be, the person that you want to become. So you sit there, you think, okay, what do I want? What do I want? And then you start to picture yourself in this situation. Think about your five senses. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What are you eating? Who are you hanging out with? Where are you going? What are you doing? What's the first thing you do when you wake up? What's the last thing you do before you go to sleep? And then think about, okay, if this were my daily routine when I had everything I wanted, what small steps, doesn't matter how small, doesn't matter how big, can I make right now in my life to be more like that version of myself? Obviously, it's going to be a different visualization for everyone based on what you want. For me, you know, it's just, I want to be abundant creatively. I don't want to have to go work a 9 to 5. I don't want to have to be a bartender at Chili's. I want to be able to wake up, be creative, create something, connect with people, really make a difference doing what I love to do and whatever my talent is, and I want to be able to constantly learn and grow to be the best of my abilities. And I know that if I'm making drinks all day every day, I'm not going to reach that. Now, obviously, here's where you might be thinking, okay, well, obviously you need to keep your job and keep making money until you are abundant in other ways. Yes, of course, that's the unfortunate part. So it's really just being able to work in whatever time you have to make those changes to be in a different place. Because I've been working at Chili's for over 2 years now. That's not a very long time in hindsight, but to me, that's a long time. I almost feel like I've been failing for quite some time because I could be making bigger, better money. But I was always focused on just doing what they wanted me to do, showing up, be diligent, work hard. But then I realized, Chili's isn't my future. I'm not gonna be a manager. I'm not gonna go into the Chili's industry. It stresses me out. I don't want to be there for the rest of my life. I know what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so I have to start making the decisions now of how I'm going to change in order to be more like that version of myself. So maybe that version of myself wakes up and writes. Maybe that version of myself gives gratitude in my journal. Maybe that version of myself meditates. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. The next thing I want to talk about is the power of manifestation. So manifestation kind of leads off of the whole, meditating and thinking about what you want to be. Again, manifestation has become widely popularized, especially on social media, so I'm sure you've heard of it, but it is basically just the act of putting yourself on that same level with what you want. Whatever form that may be scripting, writing in a notebook, that might be speech, saying, I have this, I've done that. That might be saying you're grateful for something. That might be you saying this in, again, your notebook or out loud. Crystal water, moon water. Be careful what crystals you put in water. Obviously make sure that they'll be okay if you let them soak in water, but new moons and full moons have amazing restorative energy and, closure energy as far as full moons go. I put my moon water in this guy right here. I just charge it with some of my crystals, leave it out under the moon for a few hours. Boom. And so you can drink this, you can use this for your face, whatever, but it's just supposed to remind your body that you are in tune with that certain frequency that you were putting into the water. New moons are great for setting your intentions with manifestation, If it's a new moon, you make some moon water, you write your manifestations, you really put your energy into it, and then over the course of that lunar cycle all the way up into the full moon, you do things that you think will help you manifest this result, and then at the end of the full moon, you see how far you've come in this goal. Another really important thing to do is cleansing your space, cleansing your items, whatever spiritual thing you're using, whether that be your jewelry, your crystals, your tarot cards, your notebooks, your pendulum, whatever it is, you want to make sure it's charged, you want to make sure it's cleansed under incense, candle, moonlight, words, intentions, whatever you feel is best to make that sacred and safe for you to use, do it. Energy is everything, so you want your energy to be positive and on high vibration. If you want, you can listen to binaural beats, you can listen to the right hertz for certain things like love. There's so many things that you can do to change your vibrations. And like I was discussing earlier with the meditation for, future planning, this is a great way to raise your vibrational level because when you are thinking about, okay, I want to do this and I want to be that, you typically are experiencing feelings of excitement, joy, you're falling into place with what you're meant to be, and that is meaning that you are lining up with those things, which makes it possible for it to actually appear in your physical reality. So speak out loud like you have that job, speak out loud like you made that money, speak out loud like you met the love of your life, whatever it may be. Write it down, say, I am so grateful that I have met this person that supports me, I am so glad that I have this new opportunity in front of me, and the universe will bring that to you. Something else that I like to use to understand me and what's going on and what I'm going to be experiencing is tarot. And I'm no expert, I promise you, I don't know everything. I do have a book about it, so every time I do a reading for myself, I like to always go to that card in the book, even if I already know what it is, the energy. I always like to read what they have to say, you know, just a line for line so I can consider, because I feel like every single time you pull it, it's going to apply to you differently. For those of you who don't know, the tarot deck is made up of the major and minor arcana, first being the Fool's Journey, and if you actually look into it, it is all about the card the Fool, and he goes through an entire life journey leading with the world? No. Don't quote me, I know this, but don't quote me. But anyway, so those cards are all his journey, and then the other cards surrounding it show decisions, trials, paths that the Fool had to take, whatever. We are the Fool. This is our journey. So when you ask the cards a question, you know, if I do this, what is going to be the outcome? They're going to tell you what's going to happen, what thoughts are going to come up, and what you need to do to get past it. Not every reading is going to make you feel good. That's just the hard truth. I don't personally read my cards reversed because I just have OCD and I don't like them being all random like that. But there is an option to read them as regular and reversed, and that definitely gives you another side to the story. But like I said, I like to use biddytarot.com, and I also use my book when I need to figure out what the card means and what I think it means to me. So I like to journal a lot, and whenever I do card readings for me, I like to journal them as well. Just write down what card I pulled and then a general meaning of it, and then, you know, just basically how I think that it applies to me. And I have many different ways of doing this, but I do it a lot. And with tarot cards, it really is up to you. You know, there's guidelines and spreads and certain questions that you can find in books on the internet. But at the end of the day, it's really just asking what you really want to know, what feels right to you, how many cards feel right to you, where to put them, and then just conveying the message to yourself as true as you think you can. You definitely want to make sure that you keep your deck cleansed, whether that's speaking to it, knocking on it, putting crystals on it, whatever it may be. Charge your deck, cleanse your deck. You do not have to be given your first deck. You can buy it. Just make sure that you take care of it and treat it with respect. Say thank you to it. I mean, it's giving you information. And there are so many ways to get information about spirituality and everything that has to do with it these days. You can get books, you can go on YouTube, there's tons and tons of videos just like this one that you're watching. You can go to a metaphysical shop and ask them questions. Ask them about certain crystals, ask them about certain chakras. Most of the time, if they're working there, they probably know. That brings me to astrology, which is a closely related topic. They're not always seen as the same thing, but a lot of people who are spiritual also believe in astrology because they go hand in hand. I mean, the tarot cards have a lot of astrological influence to them, and so it's just another way of explaining and understanding, and you have to do research to understand these things. You're not just going to magically know everything. You have to look up your birth chart. You have to figure out what's my big three, my moon, my sun, my rising. What does this mean to me? What are houses? Like, it's just so much information, and it takes a long time to set in. And as I said earlier, there is so many resources to find out more about this. Books, YouTube videos alone will probably teach you everything that you need to know. I recommend, if you have an iPhone, downloading the app Charts. I will put a picture of it here. Charts is an amazing app because it shows you the current birth chart of where you are at that moment. So if someone was born right now in your city, that would be their birth chart. And then it also shows what yours looks like, and it explains in detail, okay, house 1 of self, aka your rising sign, always. What does it mean to you? Your MC, career, what does that mean to you? My MC's in Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus is beauty, aesthetics. So my career is going to be in something that has to do with that. There is so much information in your birth chart, so much. You are so much more than your sun sign. For anyone who doesn't know anything about astrology, at least find out your moon and rising, because there's so much more information in those two planets alone. So I highly encourage you to figure out your birth chart, look at your rising sign, see what you're blossoming into, and consider, okay, this is what's written for me in the stars. How do I think that that is alignment with me? What do I think that I'm going to do to become that? And just start to ask yourself these questions, because there's so much information when you look at all these different houses, the house of pleasure, the house of family, the house of routines, and you can really look at it and say, okay, I do that, maybe I shouldn't, or I don't do that, maybe I should. So with that, I just want to say that all of these things have absolutely changed my life in the last year or so, and I didn't really understand how much I was changing until I realized that I'd engulfed my world in it. Me, the people around me, it's a conversation starter, it's something that makes me feel secure. For years, I was in a toxic relationship where I felt like I was constantly being pushed down, muted, played, lied to. My anxiety and depression was horrible. I had panic attacks almost every day. I would stay at work longer than I needed to just so I wouldn't have to go home. When I finally chose to end that relationship and not go back to it, things began to change. I began to realize, who I was without all that pain and suffering. And it really is a decision, choosing not to be a victim, choosing to be vulnerable and putting yourself out there and seeing just what you can do by yourself. I was so opposed to change. I did not want anything to change. I wanted to just live my happy, comfortable, planned life, and that life that I had planned was not the life that I have now. And if you think that that is what you deserve, then you're just going to keep getting that. But if you think that you deserve better, better is going to come along. Give thanks to the universe. I mean, they're giving you so much, giving you so many opportunities, and you gotta sit back and say, I really have come a long way since that point in my life. Whether it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a month ago, 2 weeks ago, we all change. In this last year alone, my world has totally shifted. I've done things that I never thought that I would do. I've made money that I never thought that I would make. I'm a bartender now. I've started school. I barely have anxiety or depression. Well, I mean, I do, but it's manageable. I don't need medicine. I'm not crying all the time. I'm not having panic attacks. I am able to be confident in myself and my craft and know that I'm meant for better things. There was a point in my life where I didn't want to live anymore. I felt like I didn't deserve it. I felt like I was nothing. And now I feel like I deserve so much more. I feel like with all the effort that I put in, something's going to come out. And maybe I haven't hit my big break yet. Maybe I don't know for sure what's going to happen. But I know that it's coming. And I'm manifesting it. And I'm working on it. And I'm willing to put in the work. Because if you're not willing to put in the work, nothing's going to happen. Energy flows where your attention goes. If you do not focus on this, put all your energy, work into it, those things aren't going to come to you. So by doing even little things that are close to what you want to do, you are going to attract other, bigger, better opportunities in that same field, and you are going to be able to become the person that you want to become.